You know, it's one of the great ironies in all of film history. It's the story of a rebellion that was supposed to save Hollywood's soul, but somehow, in the process, it ended up teaching the system how to sell out better and more profitably than ever before.
So that's the big question, right? It's a classic story of the road to hell being paved with good intentions. How did three of the most visionary directors of their time, guys who set out to break the Hollywood machine, end up accidentally handing it a brand new, supercharged engine?
And here they are, our main players. Well, two of them anyway. Back in the 1970s, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and their good friend Francis Ford Coppola, they weren't the legends we know today. Nope, they were young, they were hungry, and they were ready to start a revolution against the old Hollywood guard.
Okay, so let's set the stage. To really get what they were fighting against, you have to picture the Hollywood of the 1970s. The studio system was basically a creative straitjacket. The executives, the money men, they held all the cards. Directors, they were often just hired guns. But this new wave of filmmakers, this new Hollywood generation, they wanted to burn that whole system to the ground. Their mission, when you boil it down, was simple but totally revolutionary. They didn't just want to make movies, they wanted to own them, to control them, to protect their artistic vision from guys in suits. Really, it was a power grab, but for the sake of art.
And the first major crack in that old system, it started with one filmmaker and a very, very clever deal. George Lucas, he had watched his friend Coppola just battle the studios, and he was determined to get full control over his next project, some little space movie he was working on.
Now, to understand Lucas's big move, you need to know about something called garbage clauses. See, back then, studios could not have cared less about toys or sequels. Those rights were considered so worthless that in contracts, lawyers literally called them trash. They were just an afterthought, something you threw in to sweeten the pot.
And right here, this is where everything changes. It's 1973, and Lucas is negotiating with 20th Century Fox for Star Wars. He makes them an offer. He says, look, I'll take a smaller director's fee if you give me two things: final cut, and I get to keep those garbage rights for myself. The studio, thinking they'd just pulled a fast one on this young director, they agreed in a heartbeat.
Then, the movie comes out, and it doesn't just do well, it absolutely shatters every record in the book, pulling in a mind-blowing $775 million at the box office. Hollywood was just stunned, but believe it or not, that wasn't even the biggest surprise.
The real money, the kind of money that changes an entire industry, came from the merchandise. The toys, the lunchboxes, you name it. It brought in billions. That garbage that Lucas kept for himself, it turned out to be a freaking diamond mine.
And here's the crazy twist. By winning his artistic freedom, Lucas accidentally taught the studios a whole new way to be capitalists. The lesson they learned wasn't about the power of art. It was about the power of intellectual property. They realized the movie could just be a 2-hour commercial for the real products, the sequels and the toys. So while Lucas was off building a galaxy far, far away, his buddy Steven Spielberg was busy terrorizing a small beach town. And with Jaws, he accidentally wrote the other half of this new Hollywood playbook, giving the studios another incredibly powerful weapon.
I mean it. Jaws basically invented the summer blockbuster as we know it. Before this, big movies would kind of trickle out into theaters. Spielberg's film created a whole new formula. You open everywhere, all at once, you blanket TV with ads, you turn the movie into an event that people feel they have to see. It taught the studios a powerful and maybe dangerous lesson that pure marketing muscle could be way more profitable than taking an artistic risk.
But the third friend, Francis Ford Coppola, he saw all this happening and he started to get worried. He didn't want to teach the studios new tricks. No, he wanted to escape them completely. He wanted to build a whole new system, far, far away from their influence.
His big dream was called American Zoetrope. It was going to be a filmmaker's utopia, based up in San Francisco. See, this wasn't about making a smarter deal inside the existing system. This was about creating a radical, artist-first alternative to the system. A place run by creatives for creatives. And even his friends saw the beautiful, maybe impossible nature of his dream. Spielberg had this loving nickname for it. He called it Shangri Coppola, you know, like the mythical paradise, Shangri-La. It was idealistic, it was ambitious, and maybe, just maybe, a little too good to be true.
So all of this leads to this dramatic turning point in the early 1980s, where the paths of these three friends just completely and totally diverged. While two of them were about to be crowned kings, the third was facing absolute total ruin.
To fund his independent dream, Coppola poured everything he had into a musical called One from the Heart. He bet the farm, he bet everything. And the film was a catastrophe. On a budget of over $26 million, it made just over $600,000 its opening weekend. He was wiped out, completely.
The tragic irony here is almost unbelievable, like something out of a movie. In February of 1984, as George Lucas and Steven Spielberg are literally kneeling down together to put their handprints in the cement outside Mann's Chinese Theater, becoming official Hollywood royalty, American Express was canceling Francis Ford Coppola's credit cards. The visionary was broke. The kings had their kingdom.
So what does all this mean for us today? Because this isn't just some dusty old Hollywood story. The actions of these guys, their successes and their failures, they directly built the entertainment world that we all live in right now. The lessons the studios learned from Lucas and Spielberg became the new rules of the game. Today's Hollywood is their legacy. It's an industry that's terrified of risk, obsessed with franchises and IP. Movies have become content, a lot of it designed to be watched while you're scrolling on your phone. In fact, Netflix reportedly tells its filmmakers to repeat key plot points because they just assume you're not paying full attention. And if you want the smoking gun, here it is. This internal memo from a Paramount executive in 1982 says it all. The mask was off. The goal, inspired by this new blockbuster revolution, was no longer to make art, it was simply to make money. The rebels had accidentally shown the empire how to become more powerful than ever imagined. And where are they now? Well, Lucas and Spielberg became billionaires, true masters of the very system they helped create. Coppola, on the other hand, he never gave up the fight. Even today, at 85 years old, he's still betting his own fortune, over $100 million of his own money on deeply personal, ambitious films like Megalopolis. He's still trying to keep that utopian dream alive. Which leaves us with the ultimate nagging question. In their fight to protect art from the demands of commerce, did these brilliant, rebellious filmmakers accidentally give commerce the perfect blueprint for how to swallow art whole? It's something to think about the next time you see a trailer for another sequel to another franchise.